How you doing out there, folks? It's just me again. Yes, it is. Now this is The Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the Robot, Part 17. And this one I'm going to do something a little bit different. I don't know how it's going to come out. I'm going to try to sing a song here. One of the songs I wrote for Marie over 40 years ago, right after we met. So I don't know how it's going to work out. I thought about it before, because since some of my videos that I posted before were varied interests, and a lot of it had to do with music. So I said, well, even I'm doing all about these harassing phone calls, it's getting a little bit boring. So I decided maybe to get some interest, maybe that if I put a song on here, maybe you'll listen to the rest of it, Now again, this is going to be about the harassing phone calls that Merrick Bank made to me, and in 2 times they did it. They did it in November of 2018 and again in January of 2020. Okay, now listen to the lyrics of this song, and as soon as it's done, I'll go back to the Merrick Bank. I might explain about the song. Now, the title of this song is "Your Smile Is My Reward," and the music was done by George Liberace in California. It just so happens the lawyer I have, he's in California, so there's a lot of for instance here. So I decided, well, I want to try it now. Let's see if I can set the music up. I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, it should start now. Let's see. I think we'll do it. No, I'll set it now. Get ready.
The life that we share together can only become better and better if we try and understand each other. Then we won't have to look for another. Your smile is my reward, because you're the one I've always adored. You are something special to me, and that's the way I always wanted to be. I like to see you dressed in lace, but I would rather see a smile on your face. Your smile is my reward, because you're the one I've always adored. It's not the flowers that I bring, it's my thoughts of you in the spring. Even though the weather may be cold, as long as we're together, we'll have each other to hold. Your smile is my reward, because you're the one I've always adored. We may disagree once in a while, but I know that everything is all right again when I see your smile. At times we may be apart, but wherever I'm at, I'll always have you in my heart. When we go out on the town, I want to make you happy so that you won't feel down. While we're having a good time, I can tell by your actions that you're in your prime. When I'm around you, I'm never bored, because your smile is my reward.
Well, I hope you liked it. Remember, I wrote that song for Marie over 40 years ago. And I'm applying it now because when we would disagree once in a while, like I said it in the song, I knew everything was all right again when I saw her smile. So back in 2018, when we received the application from Merrick Bank, I gave it to Marie. I didn't even know what it was. And I said her lack of interest was an all-time low. She wasn't happy for nothing, no matter what, So she got excited over that, and when she wanted to get it and everything, and I saw her smile, that reminded me about the song, because it made her happy. So I said, good. I'm not going to say no. We can't. We shouldn't get it because we have too much credit, you know. So I explained this before. That she wanted it. We put the application online and everything. It was for double the credit line. That means after 7 payments, they double the credit line. In this case, it was $600, and it became $1,200 after 7 months. Okay, so Marie was all excited and happy and everything. Every time I mentioned this credit card, she would have a smile on her face. So I was really happy about it. So, and then finally, you know, I explained everything to her. That won't be long. It takes a week to 10 days. And, you know, she agreed to everything, you know, because she wanted the card. She didn't care about giving permission, you know, for them to call us. So, okay, so after about a week, the cards came. I gave it to Marie. Oh, Frankie. Oh, she was so happy again. There's a smile on her face again. You know, and I was so happy myself about it, you know. So she opened it up. Oh, Frankie, look at the beautiful cards. Here's yours. Oh, how do you like the design? I said, oh, I love the design. It has an eagle with the flag and everything. I said, oh, wow. That's really good. So I said, what do we have to do? I said, well, we have to sign the back of the card. That's the most important thing. You know, because that way, you know, we have our signature and we agree to everything. And then said, can we use it? I said, no, I have to activate it. I said, you want to do it over the phone? She said, no, you know, I don't want to do none of that. Okay, so what happened? I called it up the number, you know, to activate it. Because the recording comes on, you're not going to talk to a live person. I knew that. Punch in all the information, and you know, the phone number that I called on was one of the numbers associated with the account, so of course, it was already approved because of that. It says that now, all the cards associated with this account are now activated. I said, Marie, go ahead. Be careful what I told you. You're going to be calling over the phone, so be careful, you know, with the information. Don't be talking to anything from these high-pressure salespeople, you know, to buy stuff. I know you have some things written down that you want to get. That's okay. You know, I'm glad for that. And let me know whatever you order so I can keep track of it. She was happy. She couldn't wait. I said, don't you think you ought to wait a little bit? No, I want to do it now. So I said, okay. I'm going to listen, and I'm not going to say nothing, you know, so to make sure. She said, I know, I'm not going to give my Social Security, date of birth, and none of that over the phone. Only the card number, expiration date, and the security code. I said, okay, Maria, I'm going to listen to the first time, because since I'm here, you want to do it now? Okay, she had everything written down. She was ready to go. You know, she called up the number, and she talked in Spanish, because it's the Spanish stories that she looks at, and she can speak Spanish, so that was good. That worked out good. So it didn't seem to take too long. I heard her, you know, I could understand a little Spanish. And she wrote down the information. She gave it to me. So, boy, already, huh? Couldn't wait to use the card. She said, oh, no, Frankie, I can't wait. I said, but that's not, I'm going to use it. You know, I might buy some things that you want. I'm going to use my card to pay the same account number. It's another thing. She's the card holder, and I'm the authorized user. The same account number. You couldn't tell when you went to the store if I'm an authorized user or I'm the card holder. So that was okay. Everything was all right then. We used it, and time is passing, you know. And I was checking, you know, every payment I made. You know, I made them all on time, of course, and I made sure with $600 that it didn't go over the limit, even though I could just pay it on the next payment. There wouldn't have been a problem with that. Okay, so 7 months passed, I made the payment, and I checked it, you know, checked the balance, and it went in automatically. So I guess they lived up to their bargain there. Boy, when I told Marie, I said, Marie, I got something to tell you. She said, what is it, Frankie? I said, the money went in. She said, oh, boy. She was happy again. The smile, you know, the smile on her face. Like I said, that was my reward with it. Because it made me so happy, you know, because of that. So that's why I say this Merrick bank account, it had some meaning, you know, to me. First of all, it was the last card that we got together. Both of our, you know, names are on it. And that was part of the life from that point on till she passed away. It was something to do with that card, you know. It was in the last part of our life together. So, because I think I said in the song, the life that we share together can only become better and better if we understand each other. Then we won't have to look for another. Yeah, and that was the lines, the lyrics. A lot of these lyrics applied, you know, that we actually went by it, you know. Just listen to the song. I mean, I just put it in the beginning, like I said. I was going to do it at the end. I decided to do it in the beginning. Okay, so all this now was pretty good. You know, we were using the card and all. And, you know, in those terms, you know, when the card came, you know, when we got the pre-approval, it didn't have anything about, there was no card holder agreement in there. Because when we first got the offer, I made a file for it. So I was sure of that. So now I found out that, you know, that give permission. She gave permission when the cards came, there was a card holder agreement. Of course, she's not looking at it. It's, I don't know how many pages. It was 6 pages and 4 columns on each page. You probably know how they do it. And it's a heading. It was over 25 different items, you know, on this card holder agreement. So I went over it now recently, and I found out that it does, you know, they're telling you got to give them permission. It's their sole discretion and the willingness to give you credit and all the terms they use. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo, like I said, you know. And they're telling you in there that, you know, you got to allow them to call you with the auto dialer on the cell phone and leave messages and email and everything. They go into so much detail in this card holder agreement. You can't even read it. My eyes aren't that bad. But I had to get a magnifying glass because there's so much print there. I rewrote it by hand, you know, on some pages. It took about 5 pages just for that one section about calling you. But this is why I'm saying, you know, that this Merrick Bank with these rules, and I figured something else out. Like when they give that offer, you know, for the double the credit line, they have a different card holder agreement for that. The calling might be the same, but other things are different on there. So if we give you another offer, there might be some different things. Because I know that particular offer, you still have to pay a membership fee. And there's no balance transfer. There's none of that. It's a gimmick, you know. You know, they don't give you, it's like I call it no frills. Now they have other products, Merrick Bank, and they give you different features. There's a membership fee and all, like I said. So someone might praise Merrick Bank and someone else might not. That's why they don't get too many complaints because of that. Like in my case, I'm talking about the double the credit line, but what about the other offers they have? There's plenty of them. So, and they give all kind of different credit limits to different people. Now, Marie was credit worthy. She got that offer based on her credit. Now, someone that hasn't have too good a credit, they still can get that offer, but they may not give them as much of a credit line. That's why I want to mention that again, all about that card holder agreement thing. It's important to read it. We didn't read it. I only read it now. Oh, it's got all about the attorney in there and all. So if you get an attorney, why would you need to? Well, I guess they put it in there because they know people are going to get an attorney for something that they're doing. So if you get an attorney, you got to let Merrick Bank know. And if you let them know, they're not going to be calling you because you have an attorney. So you give them all the information, and if the attorney doesn't contact them within 45 days, or they can't contact the attorney. It's not really clear there about that. That means they act like that you don't have an attorney. That means they're going to do whatever they want to do. So that back to the case here, you know, with this card that Marie got. She got sick and all after we used it and all and everything and had to go to a nursing home, and she passed away in there. I kept paying Merrick Bank because there was still some credit. Why not? And I needed help as it was because income was cut in half. Before we used to combine our income and I pay everything. Now I went from $1,600 a month to $800. Now how am I going to pay all them bills? So the other bills, I got a lawyer for. I found him online, and he was a consumer advocate attorney, and he helped me with all the other accounts. He stopped all the calls and everything. So I still was paying Merrick Bank at the time. Everything quieted down by all the time the accounts all settled and all. And finally, I started getting calls. I didn't pay them. And in November of 2019, the phone started ringing. So on the landline, it says Merrick Bank. But on the cell phone, it doesn't. It just has the number and maybe the state, you know. I think it was because it's an 800 number. They didn't even have to put that. Okay, they made all these calls in November 2019, and I contacted a lawyer about it because I think it was 19 calls on the cell phone and 43 on the landline. Now, of course, I could have let it go longer. I waited a couple of weeks. That's in a couple of weeks. Over 60 calls. I waited because I want to make sure I have my phone logs and everything set up, you know, when I contacted the lawyer. I hadn't contacted him for a while now because I was paying. As soon as I told him, he said, Frank, no problem. I deal with Merrick Bank a lot because they're very unethical and all. So he went ahead and took everything. I sent him the phone logs and all. The call stopped right away. The cell phone stopped first, and then 2 days later, the landline. So as I say, it's important to have a lawyer. So everything was all right. Then a month and a half later, all of a sudden, the phone starts ringing here again. It's on January 2nd. And I'm saying, what the heck, Merrick Bank? And they just called on the landline. Not the cell phone this time. I wonder why. They know that that's wrong. Because given permission for that, that means they're circumventing the law. In other words, the law says they're allowed to call you between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., and that's what they do. It doesn't say they can call you 4 times a day, 5 times a day on both numbers and all. It doesn't say that. And if they get your permission, it's supposed to be all right. So that's what they're doing. But the permission in this case, I don't think it's valid. Because the lawyer knows anyway. He knows. Or he filed litigation. So I don't think he was going to file it if he knew he can't win. You know, chances are pretty good that he knows. Okay, so now they still called, and then they, like I said, they stopped. Now calling me here in January 2nd of 2020, I'm saying, well, a month and a half later, I thought about it. I figured it's probably because I got the litigation. Now they're retaliating against me. And then lately I found out, when I was reading that card holder agreement, it says in there, like I mentioned to you about this 45-day rule. See, I said month and a half, but what is a month and a half? It's 45 days. So, okay, they stopped calling, say as of the 18th of November. There's 30 days in November, so that would be 12 days. There's 31 in December, that would be 43 days. And then January 1st is 44. January 2nd is 45. So they're going by that, even though I hired an attorney. And there's litigation against them, they still went by that rule. Now, the calls got stopped the first time, but maybe because they got everything on computer, maybe that triggered it. When that went in about the lawyer, since the lawyer was supposed to contact them within 45 days, and I know that's wrong, because he told me he contacts them every 2 weeks about the case. So 2 weeks is not 45 days, it's 14. So there's something here, and I know the lawyer knows about it, because when I let it go again in January 2020, it was ringing four times a day. So I wrote it all down. So I waited a couple of weeks again, and I contacted him. He said he'll reach out to him. The calls still kept coming. I contacted him again, and he says he'll make them stop. But I think the problem here was, when I had notified him, it was in between. You know, the 2 weeks that he calls, maybe he had just called them. So when he told me he'd reach out, maybe he didn't call. He was waiting till the next 2 weeks. Then when I contact him again, he says I'll make him stop, and that was about 2 weeks. So I think that's what happened with that. All I know is it's quiet here now. All the calls stop. All those harassing phone calls. Merrick Bank and all these banks know it. They know what they're doing. That's why they put it in the cardholder agreement. It says it on there. So I read the cardholder agreement in my last video. I read it, right? That what I wrote down. All about is that you're supposed to allow them to annoy you and inconvenience you, and And your privacy is invaded and everything. They put that in there, that you can't. They're not liable for it. They're not liable. Then what are they liable for? Collecting the money? They say the business relationship. What business relationship? Nobody called you. From the time we have the account, nobody called Marie about the account. And when the call started because it was late, nobody again. It was all done by the robocalls, by a machine, by a robot, as you might call it. So that's the problem, with what I'm having with them. I know this case is, pending right now. The attorney I have, he's a consumer advocate attorney. Now, he doesn't charge for his services. The consultation is free. He doesn't take any money, any percentage of any money that he would get you. And he's only going to get paid if there's, a winning case, if he gets paid for his services and the court costs from the bank. But if the case falls through, well, he's not going to get nothing. So he did all that for nothing, but he still helped the consumer, though. That's where you have why it's good to have a lawyer like that. So if you think you can't do anything, you're wrong. So you're going to have to, get a lawyer. I'm telling you, if the calls are starting like that, you're not going to be able to stop them. You could say you have an attorney, and it might stop. But if they find out that you don't, he doesn't contact them, or you don't, or the information is not correct, then they say it's just like you don't have an attorney. They assume that. I mean, this is all in that cardholder agreement. I went over it already, like I said in the last video, part 16. But I say I'm doing all this because I really am upset, I was upset before, but when I got the lawyer and he filed the litigation to them for making the calls and for calling me about somebody else's account, that's not in my name. I'm an authorized user. I'm not a joint card holder. I'm not a co-signer. We're not legally married, even though we lived as man and wife for over 40 years. But they can't collect the account. I said this so many times. You see the problem here? That by not calling with a live representative, if the account is late, what happens? It triggers the robocalls, The computer, It triggers it. That's why. So again, like I said, you just can't do it on your own with these people. I mean, of course, if you get a good attorney like this one I have, he's very good. I know I've had a lot of cases with him. I really appreciative of everything that he's done for me. So that's why, in turn, I endorse him. I do all these testimonials because that's my way of paying him back. So now I think I'm going to give you his name and number now so you'll have it. It's Paul Mankin, 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. That's a toll-free number, free consultation. Now, he's in California. No matter where where you're located, it doesn't matter. I'm in Philadelphia. And he's already got cases from me, a lot of cases I gave him. This is the last one that he's working on with Merrick Bank. I never had to pay nothing. And he even got me money on some of the cases. He's got some of the debts marked paid. Of course, no more calls. That's definite. Now, this case here with this Merrick Bank. I thought they might be calling if I didn't pay. I did keep paying for a while, a few months, after Marie passed away. So I was working on all the other accounts, so I figured this is one less, and let me pay, So of course, like I said, if a live representative would have called me, I probably would have answered it, because I wouldn't have had the lawyer then. So I would have probably told them, that what happened. Even if I told them I had a lawyer, but if I told them that Marie passed away, they probably would have requested, the death certificate. But if they knew that, they know calling wouldn't do no good, if they can't collect that money. That's the whole purpose of all these calls. They are harassing you to make you pay. Well, understand, if you can't pay, you mean to tell me all those calls are going to make you pay? I mean, some people might, It might affect them more, depending, the way the calls are made, the way that it annoyed me a lot, only because I knew what it was. These calls are not to make a deal with you. The reason I can prove it, because nobody's there. Nobody's on the other end of the line. It's dead air. They don't leave a message. If you pick it up, nobody's there, so you can't talk to anybody. They're supposed to. This is another thing with the law. As far as I might be wrong. When they make those calls, they're supposed to leave a message if you have an answer machine. And if you pick it up, you're supposed to have a recording that sends you to a live representative. They're not doing that. So here's again one of those things that they do it and they figure they get away with it most of the time. So they do it. That's why it's in there, and that's why they want to give permission to everything. You give somebody permission to do something. If I said, okay, I give you permission to stab me, right? And they kill me because I gave them permission now, does that exonerate them? I mean, give them permission. I think that's something that I don't think, well, let's put it this way, it's unethical. They're not the only ones to do it. They're trying every way they can to, I guess you can say, trick the consumer, Because most people, like I read all that, on that cardholder agreement. Boy, it's an awful lot. It's about everything. They talk about if there's a class action lawsuit, well, litigation, all this stuff they talk about in there because they know it happens. And they're trying to cover themselves, with all that. Tell them that they're not liable? They're not liable, huh? You know what they refer to? It says if you don't want them to send the billing statement, they can't oblige you. They're not liable because the law says that they're supposed to send the billing statement. That's what they said in the agreement they came with to double the credit line. Maybe that agreement was for maybe apply to another account. But you know what it says on the last statement? Go paperless. Right on the top of the last statement. Go paperless. That means you won't get a statement, right? But it says in that cardholder agreement that if you don't want a statement, they still have to send it according to the law. Look at that. They're going to abide by the law, huh? Well, I'm just showing you how that cardholder agreement can vary, It probably varies from different offers. I know different banks, because different banks aren't doing what they do. Because of calling, that calling. This is all about the harassing phone calls. And I know that. Because you mean every phone call is not considered harassing? If somebody call you on the phone, whether they leave a message or not, I get calls all the time. Telemarketers, for donations or whatever. Sometimes they don't leave a message. I had one of them. I called the number back. It said anonymous. Anonymous? So I called the number back. It got a recording, because that's what it's supposed to do, right? And the recording says, we know that you're on the don't call list, but we're allowed to call you because we're a charity. We'll try again later. Look at that. They don't say if you want your number removed, press 1. No. Again, even though they're a charity, they're exempt from the do not call registry, huh? That doesn't mean I'm going to give a donation. But they're calling, Again, if you want somebody to give a donation, why would you call like that? Because they called maybe once and then another day and another day. Because actually they called when I was doing one of these recordings. They called. I said to myself, let me look at the caller ID, because it comes on the TV screen. It wasn't them. It wasn't Merrick Bank. It was just anonymous. I don't even think they're supposed to do that, put anonymous. I think they're supposed to put their name. Why don't they put their name? They're a charity. I guess they figure that if I don't want to give a donation, I won't answer. See how they even do that? How the laws, how they get around it? Look at that. The number was correct. Because when I called it back, I got a recording, but not the name. Anonymous? See, now, if Merrick Bank would have put anonymous on there, they would have been a violation. Because they're supposed to put the name of the business on there. That's another kind of law. There's different laws. Laws for the telephone, laws for the consumer rights, laws. There's all different laws. And some of the laws don't apply to the creditors that apply to the debt collectors. They all got to go by this. They can't call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They all know that. That applies to both. Now, if I send a cease and desist letter to a debt collector and tell them to stop contacting me, by certified mail and return receipt, they're supposed to. But if I send it to a creditor, they don't have to abide by it. But they might, depending. They might decide rather to avoid litigation and all, and if they know they were making calls and all like that they shouldn't have been, they might stop calling because of that. They call that a drop-dead letter. I guess you're telling them indirectly to drop dead because they can't call you anymore because of the law, that's protecting you. So that's the things that you got to know about these creditors and debt collectors. So I'm mentioning all these things because it applies to harassing phone calls. But again, the main thing is you're going to have to get a lawyer. Now, if you want to see how long they keep calling you, I know they'll keep doing it. They'll keep doing that for a while. Eventually, they'll probably stop. It's going to probably have to be written off, or sent to a debt collector. But this account, but Marie, she passed away, they can't collect that. That's uncollectible. But by them not knowing that, you see what they did? Yeah, they had it on with the robot. And it triggered it right when, I think, once the first late fee went on. It starts the calls, depending on how they want to set it up. In November 2019, the calls were on both phones. Because they said it in the cardholder agreement, they're allowed to. And if you get another phone, change your phone, you're supposed to let them know. And if you don't and they find out, they'll cancel your account or they won't authorize any charges and all. They got all this stuff in that cardholder agreement. So back to the Marie's account, First of all, when they start calling, they don't know they weren't calling her, because it says it in the agreement again. Doesn't matter who picks up the phone. They're going by, or even who the phone number's name is in, because both phones are in my name. I'm the one that has the litigation, so I think they have to, this has to be addressed, Nothing's going to change, I know that, not too much. It's pretty much set up, because these laws have been around a long time, in the 1990s. There may be some revisions here and there. That's why a lawyer, he knows all that. He probably goes to seminars and meetings and all kind of things about these laws. If there's any changes, he gets notified so he knows about it. So I'm pretty sure if Merrick banks start calling me after 45 days, I'm sure he knows about it. I don't know, maybe that was a disconnect in their system, I don't think they were supposed to be doing that. I never had it happen before. But again, those rules that Merrick Bank makes up for their, formulate for their cardholder, it's different than another bank. That's not universal. That's not a standard form cardholder agreement. That's something that they customize it, I guess, to each offer, each customer, whatever. Each kind of different customers that they have. The ones building their credit, the ones have better credit. It varies, I guess, the different cardholder agreements. They probably have companies that do that, but I think it needs to be revised. It's too much mumbo-jumbo in there, the wording. They take up a half a paragraph just to tell you that they're allowed to call you. They mention, that you can't make them pay for fees that you might incur, if they text message you and all. It's so much stuff they go into. A lot of it is to make it so much that you probably won't even understand it. That's what they want to do. They want to confuse you. Not only that, the print is so small. You always heard the expression, read the fine print, huh? Well, that's it. That's what that means, and it is very small. Like I said, I could almost read it. I had to get a magnifying glass, and then I could read it. Like on the computer, you can magnify it. If they had that agreement on the computer, you can make it bigger, and read it. But all these things that I'm telling you, that's why you say you wonder, this is part 17. You wonder how much I can rehash it. But I can, because all the things happen, That's something that I just made up. But every situation is a little bit different. I have 10 different people can't pay their bills. Might be 10 different reasons, but they don't seem to care about that. All they know is you owe them the money, they're trying to collect it. If they can't collect it, they'll send it to a debt collector. And even though this, because Marie passed away, it's uncollectible, they're liable. They're so unethical. They're liable to send it to sell it to a debt collector. In bundles. For pennies on the dollar to get some more money. And leave it up to the debt collector. They won't even tell them anything about it, and the debt collector don't care, because if that's uncollectible, and say another account, if she passed away, it's uncollectible, but another account might be written off, another account might be past the statute of limitations, whatever it is, they're still trying to collect it, and it's like a zombie debt, because these debt collectors are bringing life back into it again. I'm going over all these things. Maybe you are aware of it, maybe you're not. I just hope every time I do a video, I at least get to one person. I know I get views, when it goes on Twitter. So it could be some of the people that have already viewed them. They want to view another one, to see what I have to say. Because the one before this is different things again. Okay, this one I put the song on. Because I decided maybe, so I haven't been, going over my songs or nothing now that I wrote over 40 years ago, because I've been doing all this on social media about Merrick Bank. So I decided to throw that in there. Hey, maybe give you, change the pace a little bit. I may start doing that. And I started with this Invisible Man gimmick. I may sing a couple other songs, try it. See how it comes out, Because I want to put everything in the description, like I say. I'll have the attorney's address in there and everything, and I'll have my information. And anything that I think of that I might not have mentioned in this video. Because, I go over so many things that it's just to cover everything, Now, again, I hope if anybody, I don't say Merrick Bank, just Merrick Bank, any of the banks. A lot of banks do it. Debt collectors do all this. You may be going through it, You never know. You can't say, oh, well, what do I need to know all that? You might. You never know. It can happen to you. It happened to me. I'm giving you advice, and I know from experience. I knew that. I was sure that Merrick Bank was going to call. As soon as I stopped making the payments, I knew it. But I tried to keep paying them. I was still transferring other accounts, while there was still some credit. Plus, I paid some extra money just so I could do that. What I did was, if I owed 3 accounts, so it was $75, they're getting down. So I took that money, put it to Merrick Bank, and maybe paid a little bit more money. And I was able to pay those with the same money. And pay Merrick Bank too. So I was doing all that, but I got to a point where I couldn't afford it anymore. I just couldn't do it. I was doing that all along, trying to transfer the accounts. To get rid of them. That way I wouldn't have to worry about, them calling and all that. Because the accounts, the other ones, we had a lot of store cards, catalog cards. They give you a catalog, and they might have 5 companies under the same bank, And we were both having those cards. And they would give you $200 and then another $200. But the finance charges were low. And they don't charge a late fee. I was surprised that maybe one of them did, but they don't charge a late fee. They have a completely different setup. And they might call you, but they leave a message with a real person, Not all those calls like that. So they have a completely different thing that they do. They send a lot of letters in the mail. Like they call dooning letters. Well, if you don't pay us, we extend you the credit. You might not be able to get a loan. You might not be able to get an apartment or whatever. You're ruining your credit. It's going to be reported to the credit. All different kinds of letters. They do that. Merrick Bank is not sending no letters like that. It's on your statement. It might say the late fee was on there, or they might send it to collection. But as far as that, they don't do that. And those other accounts, they do that. And what happens, okay, I'm just going to give an example. If we owe $200 to one of those accounts, okay, so the payment was $25. Well, it might have been $25 when it was $400. That never changes. Whatever your minimum payment is for those accounts, it's always the same. In other words, if I went over $400 and it became $25, when I'm down to $200, it's still $25. So say it's $25 and I don't pay. Next month it's $50. The next month $75. And when it gets to $200, that's it. You pay the $200, you're clear. If you don't pay it, it goes to collection. They have a completely different routine. I know it because I'm dealing with it a lot. But the regular credit cards, there's so many different systems they have set up. Because Merrick Bank does give a lot of different credit to different people for different things. You know, they have secured and unsecured, both. It's good to get them maybe if you need a little bit of help, and they'll give it to you based on your credit or non-credit. You know, you can send them money and you can get an account. You know, but I just don't like these calls. That's when I've been really ticked off. You can tell. You know, that's why I'm trying to go on other things here, because I know that I can't keep this going, because I told the attorney, and he said, Frank, I told him, let me know if you want me to stop. I guess evidently he doesn't want me to stop. First of all, I'm endorsing him too, but he's a good lawyer. He has a lot of clients that he's helped, and he has a lot of, advertisement himself on social media. He's been doing it for years. So that's why I say, what I do, he appreciates it and all too, But again, if you do need a good attorney, there's a lot of them. Remember, he's a consumer advocate attorney. That's a little different. There's attorneys that do credit cards and all. Mostly if you're sued. In this case, he's going after them for you. Well, you wouldn't know how to do it, So again, his name is Paul MANKIN. Toll-free number, it's 800-219-3577. Again, 800-219-3577. Remember, it's a free consultation. You're under no obligation. But if it was me, I'd be glad if he'd take my account. I would be glad, because at least I know whatever happens, you got him there. As far as them trying to do all this stuff, trying to say that, like they did in this case, because he didn't contact them in 45 days. That's what it says in the cardholder agreement, and I know because I counted the days from the time he contacted them. Maybe the litigation didn't go in at that point. Maybe when he first contacted them, the call stopped, and maybe that's what they counted. So maybe that department didn't get any contact from him anymore, but he's contacting the lawyers every 2 weeks, and they're in California too, where he is. So if that's another one of them, the Merrick Bank unethical practices, to do that, to put something in that cardholder agreement, they probably have it all, in the system, with the calls and all. But if it was stopped in 45 days, if you haven't made payments since the account is late, what happens if I would have made payments, and got it back on time again? I guess the call wouldn't have started then after 45 days. Because then it says in there, if you give them the information of the lawyer, then it's another 45 days after that. So now I expect, if they're unethical as they are, if this case is still pending, in 45 days from the time they stopped, in the end of January, I figured it out. It should be April 12th. So now I still got a while yet. So April 12th, the call's going to start again? Unless this litigation is settled, yeah. I'd rather go to a jury trial. I know they don't want to do that. He's got it on the litigation. I read it. Plaintiff wants to have a jury trial. That means, because I wanted to go before the jury and the judge so they can hear my side of it. Even though I've been saying my side of it now on 17 videos, with this invisible man, but I've also done more than that. I'm going to have another 10 on there besides that I did before this. Well, if everybody out there is listening, I hope you do, I know it's long, it's boring, and you already saw one, you probably said, it's all the same thing. This guy keeps talking about the same thing over and over. Well, yeah, if you already listened to it, but if you haven't, every time stuff comes on, I know on Twitter I look at things, every day there's new things going on, new tweets, so a lot of people might want to look at it. Now I put this, you're going to say another gimmick, huh? Because, I did this invisible man gimmick, because I want to get attention about this. Now I put the song, huh? The Invisible Man Sings, huh? But you got to give me credit for it. I don't even use that word credit. You got to say, at least I'm transparent, right? Because I let you know. I went and did the song in the beginning of the video. I guess you see that, right? So that I didn't say, oh, well, at the end of the video, you know, when I get done with all this ranting about Merrick Bank, and then I'll have the song. I did it for a lot of reasons first. But I figured you could just skip ahead and get to the end anyway. It wasn't like it was going to make you listen to all this because I put the video, you know, the song on there. So that's why I figured I'd do it in the beginning. If you want to hear it, then you could turn it off. Because I may start doing videos and have the Invisible Man do it. You know, to sing it, you know, with the disguise of the Invisible Man. I might, so that way I can work in my songs too. You know, at the same time. But you know, because that's part of all the videos I was putting on YouTube. I was doing all that last few months, but like I said, I stopped it because of this. Now this way I work one in this time. I figured, well, if you're going to view it right away, you may continue to listen to it. You know it's about harassing phone calls. But I figured, let me put the song, see how it comes out. Because I checked it first. That's another reason why I put it first. Because I figured, let me check it out. If it doesn't come out good, you know, maybe the sound is too loud, you know, the music, I don't know. But I checked it out first, and that way, if I would have put it at the end and it didn't come out right, then I would probably end up redoing all this. But because it did come out, all right, so I just continued on here. Okay, back to all these harassing phone calls. Now, I gave you a good lawyer. So what you need to do is you need to contact them if you're having any problems. Again, I'll go over this. You need to have a phone log. Very important. So if you don't have it and you're getting the calls, start writing them down. You know what to put. The date, the time, the day, and the number they're using. And if you talk to anybody, or you can put, like I put, no message, because they're not leaving a message. And if it's on 2 different numbers, have 2 different phone logs. Different banks have one for each bank. Like with Merrick Bank, I have one for the cell phone and one for the landline. In the beginning, I had them other calls mixed in, but I changed it, you know. So once you have any information, it doesn't have to be a lot, enough to get started. Keep track of the calls. And if you get the lawyer, and this lawyer takes your case, he's definitely going to stop it. But I think in this case with me, it started up again in 45 days. But he knew about it, I'm sure, when I told him they were calling again. Probably didn't surprise him, because that's the unethical tactics. Once you start getting involved with them, you know, another thing, by them doing 45 days, they're dragging it out a little more, you know, for them to have to pay if there's a settlement. They're going to have to settle it one way or another. When you got a litigation in like that, but if it goes to a jury, it might take longer. They want to drag it out, but I don't think they want to go to a jury. When I go to a jury and say what happened, that Marie passed away after over a 40-year relationship, and I got treated like this with that account with that Merrick Bank, and they didn't care. I called in. I think I've said this so many times. I called in at one of the numbers. It goes to the call center, and the recording comes on, and it says, your call is going to be recorded for quality assurance. The next representative will be with you. Now, that means if I didn't want to record it, give permission to record it, then I may as well hang up. Here we go with that permission again. So I called it, and the representative come on, and I told her that I'm recording this call for quality assurance. Oh, I don't agree. First she didn't, and then she did, because I think it does say it in the cardholder agreement that if they're allowed to call, record, I should be allowed to record them the same way. So I talked to her about it. I told her, she asked them, no emotion or nothing. Very cold. What kind of customer service representative is that? Because they're not used to talking to people, I guess, because they're not making calls. They're only receiving them, Well, she asked, they're all going to ask the account number, last 4 digits of the primary cardholder's Social Security. I gave it to her, and I said, she's deceased, and so who are you? I said, I'm an authorized user. I gave my name. And then she said, well, hold on. It puts me on hold. Another rude thing to do. They all do it, though. Wasn't too long, though. I went to her supervisor, somebody there in charge, and told her, look, you got to get a death certificate on that. We need that, to finalize the account or something. But she said, it's nothing on there about that. I went back and said, well, we need a death certificate. You can mail it to us or send it by, computer, whatever you want to do. I'll give you all that. I said, I don't need all that. I'm not sending it. I have it. I'm not sending it. I want to check with my lawyer first because there's a case pending. And I said, she said anything else? I said, yeah, there is something else. You didn't give me any condolences. You didn't say you're sorry for my loss. And you said that Merrick Bank, I guess you're sorry for Merrick Bank's loss. Oh, no. Merrick Bank doesn't care about the money. They don't care about the money? And why are they calling like that? And why are they in business for over 20 years? Sure, they want to make a profit, because if they don't make a profit, they wouldn't have to pay any taxes anyway. They could still keep going. So back to that again. Anything else? I said, no, I had enough. Hung up. But I recorded it, just like I'm recording this. So if you ever do contact them and you tell them not to call you or whatever you do, make sure you record it. Because that way it might come up later on and you might be able to use that against them, Again, I think I covered everything. I'm just going to throw in something else, because I don't have this in any script or anything. I just do it as I go along, Okay, now, the lawyer stops the calls, no matter how many accounts you have, it doesn't matter. But you still owe the debt. Remember that. That doesn't absolve you from it. The only way, if you pay it off, of course you won't owe it. Or you make arrangements to pay it off. But it's by the statute of limitations. I said this, I don't know, probably in every video I made. It's 4 years in Pennsylvania. And you got to check in your state. It may vary. It might be 3 years. It might be 7. I don't know. It varies. Find out in your state what it is. Now, in this case, I don't have to worry about that debt because it's already uncollectible because Marie passed away and it's in her name. But I have a lot of other ones that the lawyer, had litigation against. If any of them would come up again, so that means they're going to be less than 4 years. All of them will be legally forgiven and I won't owe it. So it's good to keep that in mind. So somebody doesn't try to collect it off of you, even though it's already been legally forgiven. They're liable to try to collect it, these debt collectors. I'm just giving you that, and keep that in your mind, a reminder that you need to know that. So again, on your credit report, all this stuff stays for, I think it's 7 years. Might be longer, depending. You have to keep checking and monitor your credit report too. So I'm older now. I'm in my 70s, so I'm not worried about my credit too much now. It's a shame because I have both of our credit pretty good, and I've been paying for the last 8 years. We just had too much credit. And our credit scores was staying not too bad, but they weren't moving much either way. Marie's was better than mine. That's why she got that offer from Merrick Bank, because they base it on your credit. You know how they send different offers out? I think I pretty much went over a lot here. I'm going to give you the attorney again. He's a consumer advocate attorney. His name is Paul Mankin. That's MANKIN. Toll-free number 800-219-3577. 800-219-3577. The reason why I'm giving it again, in case you're looking at this or listening to it, you just can write it down as opposed to reading the description and get the information. If you can give him a call, again, it's a toll-free number. Somebody's there, if not, you can leave a message, and he'll call you back. And he'll talk to you about it. Just let him know if you leave a message that I'm having a problem with the credit card companies. They keep calling me, and he'll definitely call you back. When I found him online, I looked up one of the banks that was bothering me, and he came up. His ad popped up, and I filled it in. He calls me right back. I guess it just so happens he was there then. But you have nothing to lose. Everything to gain by calling them. At least you can stop those calls and you can get yourself together and see what you want to do and all. And that way you may be able to get a settlement. You might be able to get some money too. But if they're breaking the law, they're going to have to be accountable. That's why you need the lawyer, because that's why they get away with it, because people don't do that. I wonder how many people had cases with Merrick Bank or any bank that let it slip through the cracks and just went on about their business, put up with it, and maybe when it went to collection or whatever, just ignored it and just, try to start all over again, I'm just telling you, it's better to address it now while you're having the problem. I know, look what I went through. It's a shame because, like I said, Marie passes away, and I worked on our credit for over 8 years, and it was getting better. Because all the years before that, we had so many problems with credit, you know. Now that had to happen, so it happened, you know. You say you can't, you know the expression, you can't avoid death and taxes. Well, now you can't avoid death, taxes, or Merrick Bank, or any bank that's trying to collect a bill out of you. You do, like, you know, Marie passed away, so they can't collect it. But if you're alive, you can't avoid Merrick Bank when they start this calling, because I know I'm the one getting all of it right now. You know, now it's quiet, like I said. I want to keep it that way. And I'll probably keep doing these videos, especially if there's any, I don't know how long it's going to take. If there isn't any, you know, settlement, but if there is, I'm going to make sure that I let everybody aware of it, so to show you that by having a lawyer, you can get, you know, you can get something out of it. It's worth it. It's better than just letting it go and do nothing. If you do nothing, you'll get nothing. Yeah. So I think I pretty much covered everything. I'm not going to put another song on or nothing now. None of that. I want to see how this came out and see if I get anybody response, you know, because of the song. Because the songs that I wrote, you know, if anybody's interested in one of the songs, you can contact me. If you want to sing it, you want my permission, I'll give you exclusive rights. You don't have to worry about that. So I'll have all that information in the description. I think I said enough here. I hope you enjoyed this song and my presentation here. Again, I thank you for your time. And have a great day.